So he goes like, well, maybe Jay-Z will do it, which nothing against Jay-Z. I respect him for his hustle and, his music. But it seems like there's a little bit of a DEI hire there going on, to kind of like, black guys love Jay-Z. And of course, I'm not that ignorant. I know a lot of us love Jay-Z, not just black guys. But in the league where he had this problem, it seemed like, we'll bring him in. And so, Jay-Z's not going to take that position of power and that money. So, then they convened in a not for profit league until, they quietly got rid of that tax exempt status at some point, so Roger did not have to disclose his salary. So he had all sorts of problems. So he brings in Jay-Z.
Kid Rock, who is not a kid by any standard, being that he is 55 years of age, continues to show his bigotry.
How racist you gotta be to pretend that Kid Rock is art? I just could never be that racist.
Comedian Ron Funches really put it all in perspective. And he has good reason for his analysis, but let's start with this DEI hire nonsense.
The right loves to use dog whistles, especially as society advances and becomes more inclusive and less welcoming to bigotry. A really good example of this is Richard Nixon's Southern strategy. Republican strategist Lee Atwater once explained that by 1968, using the N-word on the campaign trail would actually hurt you for the first time in, the history of the country. So instead of having a less racist agenda, Republicans just had to use more abstract terms, like states' rights and forced busing. They weren't saying the slur, but they still got the message across to their supporters. These phrases have evolved over time. Welfare queens, globalist elites, Barack Hussein Obama, but they all evoke the same feeling. A hostility towards an other. And DEI is just the latest addition to this long trend.
It's just the new racist dog whistle, as former journalist and current congressional candidate Kat Abu-Ghazaleh, whose watch party I will be attending tonight, so head over to my independent YouTube show. She puts it well, and she is right. The ACLU wrote, the far right claims DEI programs universally promote undeserving people who only advance because they check a box. Anti-DEI activists like Chris Rufo consistently frame their attack as a strike agent against identity politics and have weaponized the term DEI to reference any ideas and policies they disagree with, especially those that address systemic racism or sexism. In its attacks on DEI, the far right undermines not only racial justice efforts, but also violates our right to free speech and free association. So when Kid Rock says DEI, he knows exactly what he's doing. Another example, who has and employs a butler they nicknamed Uncle Tom? Via Loudwire, it's a derogatory name in reference to Harriet Beecher Stowe's 1852 anti-slavery novel Uncle Tom's Cabin. Buddy, if that is your mindset, you are not beating the allegations. And those allegations will even be put to bed in this video. If you have an exchange like this to describe immigrants to a journalist with Rolling Stone, where you peddle the same tiresome rhetoric of Mexican people being murderers and rapists and MS-13, you are a bona fide chud. Just dog water chud. 'Cause if you remember,
when Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
What he's doing is the song and dance that takes us back to 2016. At least what Trump has said with those very words in a sentence for the first time in the public eye as being in politics and achieving the highest office of the land. We're a dumb country, of course. In addition, if the writer states when Trump gets up and talks about immigrants as rapists and animals, that creates an environment when the guy who came across the border running from violence or trying to support his family is now treated like blank, and you reply, so with that thinking, you'd say gangster rap is contributing to all these young black men shooting each other and going to jail, following the mantra of Jeff Foxworthy. You know you're a racist. If you say something like that. Yeah.
It was all cool when you were over here benefiting from our art form.
Yeah.
But then when you saw it to be no longer a benefit, you jumped ship. So, you know, that dude right there, Kid Rock a piece of for real. And, you know, I know he think he's so high that he can't be touched, but it's a beautiful thing, man. You know, like, it's just a beautiful thing to see motherfuckers that's so high that feel like they can't be touched and all of a sudden they get touched. It's a beautiful thing. But, you know, the way he on hip hop, the way he used hip hop and then try to on hip hop, the way he used black people and then try to it just lets you know the dude is he's an opportunist.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he is. He's an opportunist. He sees what's paying his bills now, so he's saying, y'all, you know, wave that flag or whatever. But he'll get his reality check soon. Trust me. It always happens that way.
In that same interview, Rock is asked if he may be on the wrong side of history with his stances. Quote, "No, it was the Republicans that freed the effing slaves." The journal rightfully replied, yes, but the Republicans were the Progressive Party back then. He didn't like this. And so what he resorted to doing was using racial slurs in his next diatribe, I have to reiterate, to a member of the media. He tries defending his terrible opinions by stating, Trick, the hardest hitting N-word in Detroit was like, dog, you had that blank, right? We need Trump. I'll call him right effing now. He would dial the phone to the pioneering underground Detroit rapper who did not pick up. Richie would turn back to the journalist and state, I'm telling you, these dogs are calling me like, yo, N-word. You had that one, right? This would be a theme for Rock. Casually using slurs with a member of the press. There are almost too many examples. These were just a few. And amazingly, some of them took place in one sitting. Now, the writer will say, oh, well, I'm sure there are plenty of people who might give him an out by saying, oh, he was drinking. He was drunk. That's what he does. He was drinking. And this is what he... No. What I think happened was he may have had some white wine with ice, as the writer puts it. And then he might have had some Jack and Cokes. But this is how he is with his inner circle. This is how he is when he's comfortable around people. And for a guy who amazingly won an NAACP award, many people who knew him previously have said they cannot believe this heel turn. And what I will say to that is this. It's relatable. And some people are really surprised when it does happen. And yet for others, as shocking as it may be, I just have to think it is because his star was going dim. It was because his funds were lightening. Self-doubt was creeping in because of those two things. And what he needed was positive affirmation by going to, whether it be casinos or the Turning Point USA Super Bowl halftime show. It is very clear to me that he needs that. And I think those are all part of the formula for this turn for him. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYTsports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.